The Chiefs are blown out at the Super Bowl. Who's going to get blown out at the Arnold?
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. And we're back for another edition of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo with Chris Aceto, the technician. Super Bowl was a blowout. I'm glad I didn't watch it. And, you know, people were saying that there was like a Disney script that, the Kansas City Chiefs were going to be down and then make a comeback in the fourth quarter and win the game. And Kelsey was going to, propose to Taylor Swift, and then they were going to go to Disneyland, and it was going to be a whole romantic movie scenario. And I guess that the Eagles had something else to say about that. It was like a Trump victory. It was so decisive that they couldn't fix it.
Well, he had picked the Chiefs.
What?
He did to win.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
He'll blame it on Taylor Swift. You watch.
Yeah. She's been good luck to the team for 3 years, but not
too much influence. Too much influence on the team. She shouldn't even be there.
The whole thing is ridiculous. I wasn't really digging the whole teams, and I'm not really a big Kansas City fan, and so couldn't watch it. I didn't want to waste my time. I went to the gym. I went out for sushi, actually. That's what I did.
I did. All-you-can-eat sushi? My son asks me all the time, the 10-year-old. He said he wants to go to the Dave Palumbo all-you-can-eat sushi place.
I took my kids there on Saturday. I had my kids the whole day, so I took the kids to the Ginza, which is, it's like you sit down, you can order as much as you want. So my one daughter who eats no protein whatsoever, she only eats carbs. She can be trained by George Farah, probably do very well. She eats noodles she'll eat sushi rolls as long as you take out everything that's in it. She just eats the rice and the seaweed. And she's very good at her eating the ice cream that comes with the meal at the end. Matter of fact, she'll take 2 with a couple cherries on top. So that's her all you can eat. My son eats pretty much everything there, so he does a good job. And my daughter Aria will eat everything too. So
I took the 10-year-old to an all you can eat Chinese buffet 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
they charged me as an adult because they said,
wow.
No, because he's huge.
Oh.
Tall as me, and they said he was. They said he wasn't 10.
That's hysterical. So you got to bring ID now to the.
I know. I don't have an ID. Man, what are you going to have?
You got to bring his birth certificate with you to the sushi buffet. That's funny. It's $7.99 for the kids. I loved it. I can't feed him at McDonald's for that little bit of money. So it's great.
I saw it, not to complain about prices. I'm wondering when Trump is bringing the prices down. But yeah. I got a box, and I bought it, of Life cereal the other day for $8.79.
Wow.
$8.79.
Wow. Yeah. Sid's actually in Riyadh. Actually, he might be in Mecca now, but he was in Riyadh for the show they had there in Saudi Arabia. And now he's going to the Mecca. So he interviewed Ramy. He interviewed Ronnie when he was over there. Ronnie made a pretty interesting statement. Did you see what he said? He said that if Keone did the Open, he would win. Do you agree with that?
If Keone did the Open, he would win.
Yeah. Let's listen to Ronnie here. Hold on.
Open class. Once he grows into that frame of his.
Oh, he'll win it. He'll win it for sure. He will win it for sure. That's how confident I am in him, and I'm quite sure he's confident in himself too.
I gotta ask you, how far do you think he can go in the open class once he grows into that frame of his?
Oh, he'll win it. He'll win.
So Ronnie Coleman said he's going to win it. What do you agree?
I'm just trying to reflect on what his physique really looks like, because it's hard to make that. I mean, that's a big, bold prediction from Ronnie, but it's hard to know what his physique really looks like against like an open Mr. Olympia, like Samson. You know what I mean? Because obviously he dominates the 212.
Right.
I would put him like, he compares. I mean, would he beat Carlos Thomas because they're the same height?
I don't think they're the same height. I think Keone's way shorter than Carlos. There's no way that Keone is the same height as Carlos. He's got a similar physique.
How tall is Carlos? 5'8", 5'7"?
Yeah, well, Keone's got to be, but 5'1", 5'2".
Yeah, sure. Wow.
He's tiny. He's short.
I don't know.
Definitely not tiny. He's a big guy.
But he makes a lot of predictions that are zany.
Yeah, that's true. I do like his physique a lot, though. I think he's got a very decent physique. I think, like, you're right. I think he might, when you see him next to a guy who's, 70 pounds bigger than him, it might change your mind. He might get a little lost. I mean, I see it happen to Clarita. Clarita's looking great at when he does these open shows, and it's just, it's like you look at the biggest guys first. Are they in shape? Okay, well, they beat him, and then he's next. So he wins when the big guys are a little off, and I think that would have to be the case with Ken. Now, if Keone would have come on the scene a few years ago when we didn't have any big tall guys like Samson, when we were dealing with Derek and Hottie, vying for the title, he might have had. I think against those guys, he probably compares much better, right? Because he's more in line with their height. When you get a big tall guy like Samson or Andrew, it's going to be hard unless they're off a little bit. But I do think if he can put another 10 pounds on that frame, he could be super dangerous. But you've said this in the past. Sometimes you can ruin your physique when you put too much muscle on it too. So
there's a tipping point for everyone's physique. Where, period.
Yeah.
Physique can only. It's just common sense if your body weight goes up 20 pounds and your waist goes up 1.5 inches, that means your shoulders have to get 3 inches bigger to be able to compensate for the body to some degree. I mean, it's not that cut and dry, but you know what I mean. It's
easier to do that when you're Jay Cutler and you're tall. It's harder to do it when you're short, because then you can.
True.
I'm thinking. You remember Momo Benaziza?
Yes, of course.
He was, tipping, like he was a little close to the edge of having almost too much muscle on that physique.
Yeah.
Had he lived, maybe he would have gone over the edge. Eduardo Kawak, didn't that happen to him? He got a little too big.
There's just a lot of people did. I mean, you could go up and down the list. Jay says it the best. We were all better when we were lighter.
I think really I can qualify that even better. I think we were all better when we were younger. I think that's the.
You know what? You might actually be right. I mean, that may because it's inevitable as you get in your late 30s, your waist gets wider. Period.
Yeah. I don't know. I would love to know what is going on genetically in that sense of why. Your waist gets bigger and your legs get smaller, especially as a man for some reason. It doesn't seem to happen to women. The women don't seem to lose their legs when they get older. I don't know. There must be some kind of something going on there. Maybe it's just because the sheer aspect of how much we weigh. You know what I mean? I was thinking about that because you know how they say it seems like the bigger guys lose their legs more when they get older. So I'm wondering if all that pressure on the spine kind of compresses those spinal nerves, especially the lumbar ones. And that's why the legs, the nerves are not firing properly and you get loss of muscle mass. Whereas the lighter guys seem to guys like Dexter wasn't really affected too much. He never really lost his legs while he was competing. And you see it also in some of the lighter guys also, they don't really lose their legs as they get older. And I'm wondering if that's just because there's not as much compression on those nerves. Likewise, women who don't really weigh that much. I mean, they may look like they're big, but they weigh what, 140 on stage, you know, Iris Kyle, you know, they don't lose their legs because there's not that much compression on the spine at 140.
I always, Dave, it's so crazy you say that. I've always hypothesized that about compression and why people lose their legs. People with phenomenal legs, you know, that could be a factor. Maybe after the show, I'll call up Candace Owen to see if Chrome's legs gotten smaller or not as she's aged.
They're good. She's a good investigative reporter for sure. Yeah. Even the lats. Think about the lats. You know, with compression too on the upper, you know, thoracics. You know, you get some compression there, and that could be why some of these guys lose their lower lats too. I'm just wondering.
The lower lats one, Dave, it's so common.
I know. But I wonder if that thoracic level, I need to get like a spine expert on here, because if that thoracic level happens to be at a key point that maybe gets compressed, also like when you're squatting or leg pressing or putting pressure on the spine, maybe that's why a lot of these, you know, bigger guys. Look at Ramy and Ronnie. I mean, two big guys. I know Ronnie had an injury, but I don't think the injury really is what caused the lat. I think he had the nerve was being, you know, compressed there is what happened. But Ramy got a little bit of that going on. And there's been other bodybuilders over the years that also have lost the lower lat. And I wonder, once again, a lot of these guys were heavy lifters or they were real big guys. You don't really see the lats disappearing on the smaller guys, you know, with the classic guys. So it is an interesting, you know, theory, because it would explain a lot of things, because it's a symmetrical loss a lot of times too. Like you see it on both sides, and injuries are one-sided usually. That's why Ronnie's was kind of more isolated to that one side. But then when you see Ramy and you see other guys that have symmetrical loss of size, I have to believe that there's something to do with the compression of the nerves.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Anyway, all right. I wanted to bring up, Milos posted a picture of when him and I were in
Dubai. I just guessed. I knew you'd say that, Dave.
Yeah. So I thought I'd pull it up. I think I've showed it before, but it's probably worth showing. People get a kick out of it. People forget. People have a very short memory anyway. So this was, I think we were at the beach. They took us to the beach. That's Donnie Ernst. He works for Metrics on the left there. He was at the time working for Pure Protein. There's Milos, and this other guy was Lebanese, and he got he got to a fight with one of the guys we brought. Remember Laura Bass, the bodybuilder?
Laura Bass,
not Nicole Bass. Yeah, Laura Bass, very pretty female bodybuilder. She had a boyfriend at the time, who I was actually friends with. And this guy said something rude or something like that, and this guy her boyfriend blasted this guy in the face. And you can't put your hands on it. You know the rules in Dubai. You can't like attack anyone. You know, that's a serious, like, you know, they kick you out of the country for that. So they were going to take his passport and they were going to let him go home. And it was like, we had to I think I told the story. We had to negotiate like a whole peace offering. And you remember Daniel Webster was the great compromiser? Well, Dave Palumbo was the great compromiser in Dubai that weekend. And I worked out a deal with this guy and the people, the authorities and the police, that if this guy Dennis went up and apologized in front of the 5,000 people, by the way, that were waiting for us to guest pose. This happened right before we were going to guest pose. That this guy would be okay and forgive him, and then we would go do the guest posing. So this guy, I said, Dennis, if you don't do this, you ain't going home. I said, so this is the best deal you're going to get. I know you don't want to apologize to the guy because you don't like him, but you're going to have to do it. These people are not letting you leave. I said, they got your passport. So he went and apologized, and we all did the guest posing. It was great. Edgar Fletcher was there too, and we all went home. So.
That was 96?
96, yeah.
If you had gone in 96, I'm sure the scuttlebutt around there, because I was there in 96, and people around you would tell you how fast it was growing. And that was like... I
thought they were kidding.
It wasn't even in the first inning.
No.
Right? It was just still like desert and a few tall buildings. But people had the vision. The ruler had the vision.
I thought it was a joke. I thought when they said, "Oh, you're not going to believe this place, what it's going to look like in a couple of years," I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." I'm like, it looked like a desert to me. That's all it was, and they made it a magnificent city out of it. Really, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Dave, we not to harp on it, but I flew in. Me and Samir flew into the Doha, Qatar I call it bus station. It was
Bus station.
in 1991, and I think I've said it on the show before. It looked like a bus station that you'd see like in a music video in Indiana.
Right.
And that was the airport.
I know. And now it's I mean, I just got it, like, I went earlier this at the end of
Yeah, you went to the airport. So you
and
just
it was
went to that
incredible. Yeah.
And that is zero exaggeration. It looked like a bus station on a music video from MTV from the 70s or 80s, whatever MTV was, in Iowa or Missouri in a rural field. That's like, one bus comes in a day, one plane comes in twice a day.
It's almost, you can't even fathom it. It's like unbelievable how fast they built the city too.
Yeah.
Goes to show you when you don't have unions to deal with it, it goes a lot faster. So I wanted to show you another video that was kind of interesting. So I don't know if you've ever seen, and there's a funny little add-on to this whole thing. So Brian Shaw is showing this guy how to pick up a plate by pinch gripping it. You know what a pinch grip is?
Yeah.
All right. So they have certain plates. I don't know if the York barbell ones where they have a lip on the inside of it. I'm going to show you the thing, and you can, if you can pinch it and lift it up, it was like a whole thing on how much you could pinch grip. And our good friend Ron Norman had the pinch grip world record for a while. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, at some point. But let's watch this video, and then I'll tell you the Ron Norman's aspect of it. Okay, here we go.
You can see there's a little bit of here. Yeah. So you can load them on. Just picking them up like that. Okay.
I don't want to keep playing the music. We'll just watch it because I don't know if the music is going to demonetize it. So, all right. So this guy tries to pick it up, pinch grip it up. He can't even move it. So the idea is you want to pick it up and put it onto that little loaded plate thing. Now Brian Shaw is about 6'9", 400 pounds. On a svelte day, he just picks it up like it's not a big deal. Now Ron Norman told me, I sent this to Ron, and Ron told me that and I remember him telling me, showed me a picture. He did this with 3 10s on there too. So he was able to pinch grip the 45 and 3 10s. So that's what, 45, 55, 60, 75 pounds he pinch gripped. At one point, that was like a record. I don't think it's a record anymore, he said. But it's pretty, try it, guys. It's very hard. I have a big hand, so I can get my hand around it, but it's still hard. I remember I was able to pinch grip a 45 back in the day, just playing around in the gym. But if you practice it, you can get better at it because you gotta get one of those hand squeezers, and you gotta work your grip strength. But it's not so easy. But anyway, thought that was kind of a little novel add-on that we can throw in.
So is Ron's name erased from Guinness Book of World Records?
Yeah, I guess so. I think someone else has the record now. He had it for a little while, he said. So, I wanted to bring up a topic. I wanted to get your insight on it. I watched these, Nick Walker puts up updates all the time on his page. He's really good about doing that. And I got to give him some praise for it. I'm going to pull up his Instagram here since we're talking about him, because in today's internet marketing age, right? If you don't put up stuff on your Instagram, you can fall behind, so to speak, right? I mean,
you got to be. That's the algorithm. You got to do it all the time.
Now, I see people ripping this guy apart. His chest, he's lost his chest. His legs are down. His this is down. This doesn't look good. He's not hard. He's going to be terrible. It's got to be hard to be a bodybuilder. And I think back, to myself, and I'm thinking, how I looked off season versus pre-contest. And, there's periods when you're dieting where you look like shit, right? I always call it the fat and flat stage. When you first start depleting and you really haven't got hard yet, and you're putting these pictures up and people are scrutinizing the shit out of you. And, and it's hard not to read the comments, especially when you're bodybuilding, because you want to see what people think about you, right? Which is the worst thing you can do, by the way. Advice to all people who post stuff on your Instagram: never read the comments. Never. And don't tell your friends, I don't want to know. Don't have them call you up and say, oh, hey, did you read what so-and-so wrote? Because it can ruin you. I'm glad that we didn't have to grow up in that age. I know I always say to myself, oh, I would have made a lot more money probably because you can market yourself on there. But at the same time, you have to take the scrutiny of what people put up there. And people don't look great all the time. Now, there are bodybuilders that only put pictures up, when they look good. But, those people don't really get, sometimes they don't get a great following because people want to see what you're doing on a daily basis. So, what do you think you would have done had you been competing in this era, where social media was so important?
Personally, I probably would put nothing up.
You don't think so?
I wouldn't want the criticism.
But you were a good marketer of yourself back in the day. I
wouldn't want the criticism. Simple as that. Keep my own head. So hats off to people who can put the stuff up and withstand the criticism. I mean, I think he looks great there, but let's say he looked, if he took that same picture and he gave it to like a little somebody who could play with the picture and make them 20% harder and 20% bigger, you know what people would say? Looks like shit.
Yeah, or he's filtering his pictures.
No, they just say it looks terrible. So the bottom line is there's going to be a segment who are just going to say negative things. And that's, once you understand that though, it should be easier to post. But still, I don't read the comments there, or, I didn't see the comments from people who are following him. But no matter what he looks like, people are going to say negative things about the way he looks, period.
I tell people over and over, don't read the comments. I don't read the comments only because I don't have time, to be honest with you. But I think if I was competing, I would put stuff up because I would be good like that. And I just wouldn't read the comments.
Well, Dave, you summed it up. You summed it up perfectly. Is you don't have time.
Yeah.
I be negative on bodybuilders, but they do have time.
I know.
Because I always say never. I joke with Sergio Oliva. I said, I never ever. Once in a while, when I dealt with like Ramon, when after the Olympia, or of course with Sean Ray, I read the comments when I post stuff about Sean Ray. But outside of those two, in 2 years, maybe 4 years, I've never ever read comments. And I told Sergio, the only comments I read and investigate and see who likes and don't like is when my son puts up a picture. I go to see who liked it and who didn't like it. So I told Sergio he didn't like it. He always hits like on my son's photos. And one day he didn't like the photo like immediately. And I sent him a text message. I'm unfollowing you.
Yeah.
He said, why? What did I possibly do? I said, you didn't within 10 minutes like my son's picture. He laughed his ass off.
That's so funny.
but it's it's the way it is this day and age. Sponsors and for yourself, for your fans, there's an expectation to post, and you could post a benign picture of Fiberlize and people will, a third of the people will say that the product's terrible. And those people may have never tried it. Or even if they did try it, they may, so that's the nature of the way the internet is this day and age.
No, it's true. It's true. All right, hold on. I'm pulling up this didn't come up.
I think it's great though that he posts frequently and gives his fans updates, and I think the fans love it, and even the ones who don't like him and say critical things, they love it too, because obviously they're the most vocal in the comment section.
Right. I just think that there is a level of stress, associated with putting up pictures. I think that's where Ramy never put pictures up. I think Ramy couldn't handle it. I think Cedric would have been another person that probably would have just put up like pictures of himself, like competing. I don't think that he would have been a guy who would have, been putting daily updates up. I think because he would have read all the comments and he probably would have, been let it affect him. So there are people that allow it to affect them. But what I'm telling people out there is it's okay to market yourself. Just don't read the comments. There's no reason to. It doesn't matter, because most of the people, your fans, are not going to write anything. It's the trolls that are on there that are looking to pick at anything they can see, any weakness that you have, and just point it out because they know it's going to annoy you. So don't read the comments. That's my advice for tonight. Can you explain hard visually when judging? Don't understand since it's a tactile description of how you usually visually see hard. What do you say? How do you define hard, Chris, on a bodybuilding stage, not in a porn movie or anything like that?
I mean, does it need that much explanation when you can see everything that you can see on the other bodybuilders, but more? That's hard.
Yeah, I think it's also a level of body fat that's so minimal that it's obscuring none of the definition of the muscle. Also, obviously, without any excess fluid, also obscuring the outside of the muscle, because the muscle can be obscured by body fat, but once you remove all the body fat, it can be obscured by water. Likewise, if the muscle's too flat and it's not full of glycogen, the muscle might look like it's not showing a hard look because the muscle is actually not stretching the skin tight. So you need a combination of low body fat, full glycogen storage in the muscle, and hydration, and then get rid of the water that's found under the skin. And if you can put that whole act together, you're going to have a hard look on stage. And I think that's what everyone's striving for. The problem is that people always fall short in one of those capacities, or a lot of times they can fall short. Either they're not carved up enough, or they're too carved up and then they're holding water, or they're not lean enough and they think they're not carved up enough, but they're actually not. They have too much body fat. So you can't make excuses. That's why it's good to have a third eye, like a coach who can tell you, all right, you know what, I know you think you're in shape, but you really have some body fat. Or you know what, you are in shape. It's silly to keep dieting harder because you're going to lose muscle and you're going to look worse. We need to feed you a little bit more, maybe cut back your cardio a little bit. So sometimes you lose, like I always, it was very hard for me to look at myself subjectively in the mirror and say, all right, what do I need to do? Toward the end of my career, I was able to do that. But in the beginning, it was very hard. So that's why I had friends in the gym who I trusted, guys like Doug Wentz and stuff like that, who I'd go in there, I'd pose for him, and I knew he was going to give me the truth. He was going to say, all right, this is what the problem is. You're not lean enough. Yeah, but Doug, I have striated glutes. Well, yeah, but your back isn't hard enough. And so, you don't want to hear that, but I know that I trust him. I'm like, all right, I'm going to diet harder. And then there were other times I came in and said, I think I need to be harder. And he's like, you know what? You're over dieting. You're just too flat. You got to eat. Go eat, because that's why you look like you're not hard enough. You have no body fat, and you just muscles are not stretched out. And so I think there is a distinction you have to make. And sometimes if you don't have the head to look at it subjectively and say, all right, this is what I need to do, then you better find someone else who's going to give you a good viewpoint on what's going on and tell you the truth.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers the question.
Well, you explained a lot of ways to get there, but at the end of the day, when you see it on stage, hard is hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
The lady who almost burnt down my building couldn't figure that out.
Well, I think, how about we make this distinction? Because you remember, if you would see Kai Green in an off-season scenario, and he had body fat on him, obviously, but he had such genetically good muscle quality and separation in the muscle that he can, if he flexed his quad hard enough, even though he had body fat, you still saw lines in the quad, like they were striated, even though he still wasn't lean enough. So I wouldn't call that hard. I would call that, spectacular genetic, muscle separation. But it wasn't hard,
Yeah, separated.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes deep separation can bamboozle you to thinking someone's really hard.
It's true. It's true.
Including, I don't mean that negatively, but as a judge too. If a judge, some people have just great separation, and if they're not holding water, they look harder than somebody whose muscle is harder, less water, less.
Yeah. Right. That's true. It's absolutely true. All right. What's your latest? What's the latest, Sid? Since you're joining us from Saudi Arabia, there. What's the latest and greatest on Samson? Do we have any updates from him? I wanted to put this one thing up while he's looking for that. Wesley Vissers posted this picture. Sid reposted it. Look at would you look at the difference in 10 years in this guy's physique? It's incredible. You could tell he had a good structure when he first started 10 years ago.
Yeah.
14, but I mean, that's some impressive improvements.
Okay. and you'll still have people in the comment section probably saying something negative.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure they'll say, "Oh, he's on a ton of drugs now." That's all.
No, they just say all drugs.
All drugs. Yeah, all drugs.
Which I have to say, he did say he used 100,000 Masteron a week, which was.
Is Reagan Grimes really 320? Put the picture up, Sid. I didn't see that up there. How tall is Reagan? 6 foot? 6'2"?
He might be 6'1", 6'6", 6.
327. I'd like to see what he looks like at 327. I guess you can go over 300 if you're, it's funny because when I saw Regan, when we used to work with him when he was younger, he never had that like physique that I would think that would go get that big. Did you think he could get to 300 pounds back then?
I know exactly where I was standing when I told Jay Cutler, I think he's going to be, it's funny, I remember the exact sentence. And because people, pre-Instagram, there was no Instagram, but people were still talking negatively like, oh, he's like more of like a fitness model type guy. And I said, I think he's going to be like a Dennis Wolf.
Really? You did say that, huh?
Yes, because he had a lot of width at 19.
Mm-hmm.
And, very narrow hips and small midsection. Dennis was one of the widest guys there was.
Oh, yeah. Wider than Jay.
And Reagan is, I feel, super wide. And I told Jay he's either going to be a wolf or not. In other words, if he sticks with it, and fills out that frame. I mean, you're talking 50 pounds, 60, 70, who knows how many pounds ago it was. I think he won his pro card when he was 220 something.
I know that that's what I'm saying. He's 100 pounds more than that right now. I mean, that's crazy.
Well, he probably has negative comments too, and that. There you go.
I think he looks good. I think he's holding the weight good. Like you said, probably because he's so wide and he has a small waist. So he is holding the weight rather well.
Can I expand that? Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Do we know when he's competing? What show he's doing?
New York, Pittsburgh, maybe? I don't know.
Sid, what is he doing? New York Pro. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if he's 327 now, when New York Pro is in May, so he's got
311. 311. I only see 11 pounds of fat.
He's only got about 12 weeks left. He better. How lean? I mean, what do you think he's going to weigh? He's got less than 14 weeks. What do you think he'll weigh on stage if he's 327? I know that probably 25 pounds of that is water weight. I'm sure. So that was the case with me when I used to compete. When I was 3, 15, 319, I'd come. First 2 weeks of dieting, I'm down to like 290, from 295.
Yeah, you worry you're gonna go down to 245?
No, I didn't worry that. No, because I knew that when I would get down to 290, I'm like, oh, I'm pretty lean right now. So I knew I only had another 15 pounds to go, to 20 pounds the most. So
I don't know what he's gonna weigh. I don't know.
I'll bet he's about 275.
That's a good weight.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great weight for him. Very competitive. Is he a sleeper guy? Is he a guy who can come out and win shows like against some of these top guys if he puts it all together and brings the condition? Manager Matt's chiming in here. He said Regan is 300, not 327.
Oh, well, see now, Manager Matt. Now all of a sudden, I think he looks way small. When I thought he was 327, I was saying he's huge. Now I say,
well, it's still pretty big. 300 is still big. Sid is saying that Regan is 295, so now we're down to 295.
Oh, next I'm gonna know he's already 275.
We're negotiating our way down here. I trust Manager Matt. Matt is very accurate. Yeah. So
Matt probably just saw him stand on the scale with the last 30.
I would go with Matt's value over Regan's. I would go with Matt over Regan's value. You know, I think that he's probably more accurate. I'm still interested to see what he does. I think he's going to do really well this year. I think I think he's improving. I love to see guys that have made a lot of improvements year after year because, Martin Fitzwater is another guy. Because I don't know why in today's day and age, we don't see guys that make humongous improvements, year after year. But there are a few guys, obviously Nick Walker was one of those guys that because they trained hard, they ate right, they kept making improvements. But how many guys continue to make those improvements? It seems like Regan is one of these guys that has been improving. Samson's another guy, improving. Derek, improve. But there's a lot of guys that kind of stagnate. They make very small gains each year. There's Martin.
Well,
Martin's enormous, man. He looks great.
In Reagan's defense, it's harder. Yes, he's improving. When you're that tall and you're that wide, it just takes more time than if you're Keone.
Right.
That makes sense. I know it makes sense to you.
Yeah.
But to fill out a frame that has a lot of height and a lot of width, it just takes longer.
Yeah.
I mean, you can gain like 6 pounds from one year to the next, which is a lot, when it's conditioned. And you can say like, I gained 6 pounds and, as the competitor, you would know it, and someone close to you would know it. But, as a fans, they would be like, oh, it's not enough.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Someone said that that video from Martin was from last year, so that's possible. But I think we were just making it in general. Martin has made such great improvement.
Matt says that Fitzwater's 327.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. I'm almost thinking, it's amazing, but it goes back to I have to give you all the credit. You were right about this, and I didn't think you were going to be right, but you are right that the Pittsburgh show is shaping up to be almost as competitive as the Arnold is going to be.
It will be.
I mean, you're not going to have Samson in it, but you're going to have a very deep lineup. And it all goes back to what Chris said a couple of years ago. And I thought he was wrong. And when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If you put the money up there, these guys will show up. And you're right. Manion's putting up,
Who said
over.
Not doing it?
What?
Who said Samson's not doing it?
Oh, I don't. You never know. It's true, Samson. I wouldn't advise him to, because if he makes 500,
Dave.
Right.
We don't know what's in his head. But if it was you, I know Dave Palumbo. If you were competing now with tremendous success as a pro,
right?
You do a Hidetada Yamagishi. Remember one year he did like 16 shows or whatever?
Yeah.
To every show.
Yeah.
You'd be like, Dave Palumbo, 4th place. You say, just won the Arnold. Say, well, I came to Pittsburgh, picked up 50 grand.
You know what though? There's so much money at stake that he won for the Olympia at 600 grand. And he's going to win. If he wins the Arnold, he wins 500 grand. I think that I don't think it's worth risking maybe not making it for the Olympia. By the way, Dan Solomon, they announced the date of the Olympia. Let me put that up there. They sold. I don't know if they're sold out yet or not. But,
well, I told Dan to move it to the Superdome.
They should. They probably could fill it out. He was doing an interview, and he actually said that he feels that eventually that they could get bodybuilding into an almost like a stadium the size of maybe not. Bodybuilding is not conducive to stadiums because you got to be able to see what you're watching, right? But it could be in a much bigger venue than it is now. Maybe the Sphere. You never know. I know it's very expensive over there in Vegas, but you never know. It could wind up there. October 9th through the 12th weekend. It's coming back to Vegas at the resorts, the hotel that stole my suit and my dress shirt and my tie.
Dave, you say that about, and I agree, like it's not conducive to like a giant stadium, but at the flip side, I mean, you go to the Miami Heat game and you're in the nosebleed seats.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys look like this big.
Ants. Yeah, ants. Yeah.
Dave, you put the measurement up at the same time as me.
I know.
They look like ants on the court.
You wind up watching it on the big screen. You don't even watch the real
Nobody
thing.
complains and says, I just $236 for a ticket for the Miami Heat Boston Celtics game, and I can't really, I get an idea it's not like the VIP seats at the Olympia, sitting ringside.
But you know what? In defense of what you're saying, I understand what you're saying. People want to be in the arena for the energy of the show. So, yeah, if there are nosebleed seats, they could sell them for cheap, $50, or something like that. And people would go just to say, "Hey, I'm at the Olympia."
People would pay far more than $50 to sit in the boondocks.
Yeah.
So long as they have a TV screen to watch it on live.
That's true.
They definitely would pay far more than $50.
Well, because they want to run into Chris Aceto at the hot dog stand, and say what's up.
Is a ticket not worth 5 boxes of Life cereal? I just paid, what was it? I told you, $8.79 for a box of cereals.
I know, it's crazy.
Times 5. That's you're talking Olympia ticket for this. For 5 days worth of cereal for my kids.
I bought a pack of gum in California when I was there a couple of months ago, and it was $8. So I mean, $8 for a pack of gum.
I would have thought there was a deposit on it or something like deposit of $4.
Yeah. My sister was down from Connecticut, with me this week. She's staying with me, and we went to the supermarket, and she couldn't believe how cheap the prices were here compared to Connecticut. I'm like, it's really that much more? She's like, it's insane how expensive it is up there. So New York and California, and Connecticut, New Jersey, same thing, just very expensive.
Well, Trump after the Chiefs game, the Chiefs put an executive order in for New York. He's going to repeal the salt tax and also lower the cost of groceries on Long Island.
Is that what he said?
No.
Oh, you're making that up. Okay. How's Derek looking?
Good.
Let me see. Do we have any, Sid? Do we have any Derek pictures up?
No.
No. Are you telling him not to put pictures up?
No, I don't think he put any pictures out, did he?
No, he hasn't. But I'm saying, are you telling him not to?
No, I don't tell anyone anything.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I'm asking. I thought maybe you guys are being, keeping things hush hush.
No.
No, because all your guys have no pictures. I noticed that Andrew Jack has no pictures either.
No pictures. I don't advise people on their Instagram accounts.
Well, I don't think he's a big sharer anyway of what he looks like. He'll put pictures up after the show, right?
Yeah, he puts pictures up here and there, but he puts up pictures of him doing like shoulders and stuff with his
promos. He puts promo stuff up, yeah.
cannonball belts and
I don't know. I was going to ask Sid how the Riyadh show was. He said it wasn't, it was Ronnie was there, Ramy was there. You know what's really weird about the whole Ramy thing? Remember how we were talking about the fact that Ramy was going to do the Olympia this year?
Uh-huh.
Remember there was like a rumor out there? You actually the one who told me about the rumor. And we saw it posted by his business manager, right? It was online.
Yeah.
And no one's talking about Ramy didn't mention one word to Sid about the Olympia. No one talked about it. You would think if he's making this big comeback, right, at the Olympia, that we would hear he'd be like telling people, Sid did say he looked big, but he there's no mention of it anywhere, which is kind of weird, right? Wouldn't you think that they'd want to hype up this Ramy comeback type of thing? It sounds like a good story, right? Who's the Mr. Olympia now? The biggest guy out there, Samson Dowda, and if Ramy's coming back and he's the biggest guy, from the past to win the Olympia. Why wouldn't they be billing this Ramy versus Samson? That would be a great sell pitch, right?
They haven't got into. Dan has not got into so far, I don't believe, promoting the Olympia, right? They haven't done any real promotion. It's very early.
What Sid and I are thinking, in other words, I think the rumor put out by the managers was really not in line with maybe what Ramy was planning on doing. So maybe it might not be any truth to that, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
I think it would definitely add I don't know if, I don't think Ramy could win, but I mean, it would add a level of excitement to know that Ramy was in the lineup. I think that would be great. I would like to see it. Because you know what happens after a few years of a person not being around, you kind of miss him. I kind of miss Ramy now. You know, now I'm rooting for him. Now I want to see a comeback from Ramy. And you know, if he can come back and look insane and win the Olympia, that would be a great comeback story for sure.
It was a story and a mainstay from 2013 all the way up till 22? 9 years.
Yeah.
Long time.
A Ramy victory at the Olympia would be bigger than the Trump comeback, I think. Right? There's never been a bodybuilder to take off multiple years, right, and then come back and win the Olympia again. Oh, wait. Did Franco do it? How long did Franco take off between?
Well, that was rigged.
that is true. Yeah, that's true. And Arnold came back, and that was rigged. So yeah, I guess but technically on the books, yeah, I guess there has been people who have come back after multiple years. So.
Is there anyone in dispute that wants to say that it was the Arnold? I mean, my God, Franco Colombo.
He had one leg, right?
One leg, and you know, I was a kid, and I was like, "What's that?"
You were at that show, right?
No. Just like looking through magazines. Ask John Hansen if it was rigged. Is John Hansen here? Text him up. I want to see what John Hansen has to say.
I'm sure he would agree it was.
Text him. Chris wants to know, was the 81 Olympia rigged?
I'm pulling up the Olympia. Hold on. So that was the one. So who do you think should have won that? Dickerson or Tom Platz?
Roy Callender smoked him.
Oh, you thought fourth place Roy Callender should have won too?
Danny.
Yeah, it was fifth. Yeah.
Danny, what's his face? Beat him.
Padilla. No, but who do you think should have won that show?
Not Franco.
Was Dickerson the best, or was he a legitimate second place, or was Platz better? Platz
was better. They were all better. Ask John Hansen what place he should have got. I'm serious. If viewers want to know it. You know what the problem with something like that, Dave? It's 81, but it hangs over all the way up to like mid 80s, late 80s, where people go like, "Wow, it's the shows that get rigged." Well, when you rig a big show like that, it's a black eye, and it's hard to. It's like when Clinton passes away and the obituary is going to say he got a blowjob.
right, exactly. Yeah.
So when all is said and done, it's like 10 years removed from 81, people still talking like, wow, they rigged shows. Look what they did with Franco.
Well, you know what? When Joe Weider was in charge, it was a lot easier to do that. Nowadays, we actually have judges that run the.
Well, I mean, you had that. You didn't have the internet. You just people writing stories.
Who wins that pose?
Not Franco.
No.
Put Danny Padilla up there.
Let me see if I can find a Padilla.
Because he was the same exact height as Franco, except peeled out of his mind. And Roy Callender, that's, they don't even have the guys who are, those two probably should have beaten. I would have those guys over Chris Dickerson all day long.
Yes, Padilla on the left, Platz on the right, Franco in the middle. You look in the back all the way to the right. That's Ed Corney, for those of you who don't know.
Nobody knows Ed Corney, Dave.
No, people know who Ed Corney.
Who wins that pose?
I think Padilla.
Okay, so you're losing the absent eyes, using the side tricep. How about
they don't have that many pictures, so it's hard to
put the front double. What was it? The front.
I'm trying to find another pose. Yeah, here. Let's look at Roy Callender in this shot, because you mentioned Roy Callender. A lot of people don't know who Roy Callender is, so
I think Padilla looks good there in the lineup next to Franco. Got the ball.
So there's Padilla, Roy Callender, and Platz. Yeah, you're right. Callender looked great, man.
I mean, you think he wouldn't have won that against you? Okay, Dave. This is why the show was. Look at where is Franco in the comparison?
I don't know. Well, they already had him winning. They didn't. They put him on the side. Look. Can name that bodybuilder all the way to the left in the back.
Annabelle Lopez.
Is that who that is? Okay.
Probably.
I thought it was Casey Viator. No, looked like him.
Wait a minute. Let me see. It is. It might be Annabelle Lopez.
You might be right. I don't know.
Definitely not Casey Viator. John Hansen would have identified the people in the audience.
Casey wasn't even in the show, so yeah, it couldn't have been him.
He would tell you who judged it. Brutal that year.
Dennis Tenorino was 7th, Johnny Fuller 8th, Samir Banut 9th, Roger Walker 10th, Hubert Metz 11th, Carlos Rodriguez 12th, Ed Corney 13th.
Okay, it was Carlos Rodriguez.
It was Carlos Rodriguez? Okay. Ken Waller was 16th. Katz was 15th. So I think he found his T-shirt at that show. I can't believe. You know what I can't believe? I can't believe those are Gary Bartlett pictures. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I didn't realize Gary Bartlett's been shooting that long.
Yes, it's.
What a great guy too. I love Gary. He's one of my favorites.
He went from that to G-strings.
That was a very controversial Olympia. I wonder how Joe Weider thought he was going to. I guess Joe just didn't care. I guess he figured, you know what? They never could have gotten away with that in the internet age with social media where everything is posted and there was 5,000 people taking pictures at every angle. They never would have gotten away with it. I'm telling you, it was a very, very isolated era where there was not a lot of coverage of the shows.
There was no internet.
Right.
They bamboozled you with these call-outs. Like, where's Franco in that call-out?
Right.
They didn't have him in the call-out because he gets smoked next to Roy Callan. And then I think that may have been the year, one of those years. I don't know whose idea it was, but they came up. They wanted to kiss the ass of the Olympics. Weider did.
He was still with the Ben Weider was still with the Olympics.
Instead of doing this, who do you have first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th? Throw up 2 highs and 2 lows. They did. Now, Dave, the perfect score in figure skating is 20. When you want Franco to win, you hold up a 20 for him. And whoever you want if you think there is second place, you don't mark it on the judging, score 2, you hold up a 19. And they went through this whole.
Oh, it was so cool. They made it more confusing. In other words, no one can figure out the scoring, right? No one. That sounds like something they would do. Yeah.
The 20 and the 19. So, and I think you could give since you were evaluating the physique, Dave Palumbo, the judge, screws up and he gave 3 different people 19s. Which I'm telling you, it was a. Sometimes things don't have to be that complicated.
Yeah. No, I think it sounds like they made it complicated purposely so that they could justify their, the decision that they made, so to speak.
No John Hansen, right, Dave? You can't text him. I would love to text him, find out who he thought won.
Well, I'm sure he would say anyone but Franco. I think that seems like what everyone's saying.
Danny Padillas.
I think, like you said, I probably think the top 4 guys who finished behind Franco probably all could have beat him. If you wanted to make a legitimate case for it. The Dickerson won the following year, right, in '82. So I have to believe that they were he was the next guy. Sid texted him. He said he didn't respond. So let's check this picture out. Let me pull this up. So this is Dickerson. This is Dickerson in '81. '82, he looked ridiculous.
80 was he in the '81?
Yeah, he was second.
Oh my God! Roy Callan would eat his lunch.
Why do you think they liked him? Because do you think Joe liked him because he was gay? What do you think?
Bill Pearl pushed him.
Oh, Bill Pro.
Bill pushed him, and Bill had Joe's ear. I'm telling you, that's how it worked.
Do you think Dickerson looked good enough to win the 82 Olympia?
No.
Who did you like in the 82?
Samir beat him.
You think Samir beat him? Yeah.
Who was second? I'll tell you who beat him.
I'll tell you in a second. Hold on. 82.
No, they crafted that from 82 right into 83.
I wonder what Joe's whole thing was. Yeah, this is the one where Casey Viator almost like lost his mind. He was third. Zane was second. Yeah.
I was never a fan of Casey's physique at all. I just didn't. It was my own preference, but he was better than I thought. Chris Dickerson.
Yeah. Back
double was phenomenal that year. Side chest was phenomenal. He had way more rugged physique. And you know what? They bamboozled Oscar Heimenstein or whatever his name is. and Oscar, people listening would know. Ask anyone, who is the head judge?
Oh, it wasn't like Mannion?
No. That's why the black eyes hung over. Involved. Oscar, it was Ben's right-hand guy.
Holy shit.
Oscar, where is John Hansen? Wake him up. He can't be watching the Super Bowl. This radio show is the Super Bowl for him.
Yeah.
Oscar Heinschlitt, he was the head judge all those years.
Here's the 82 lineup. So you have Zane on the left, Samir, and then Dickerson, Al Beckles, Tom Platz, and then Casey Viator. That guy I pointed out earlier, he does look like Casey Viator, though.
You telling me, Dave?
Casey Viator told me when I interviewed him I had him on this radio. Remember I interviewed him? It ruined his whole life, this show. He was ready to he couldn't get over it. I think it caused his death, this show.
Casey and Tom Platz are blowing him off the stage here.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. Platz looks ridiculous. Probably Beckles looked ridiculous, too, there. I mean, that was just a weird shot, weird angle that where they're showing.
I don't know if Roy Callender was in the show here.
Let me see. This is a bad picture. I'm trying to get another picture for us.
Oscar, I can't believe nobody on this damn show. That's how crappy our audience is.
We only have trolls in the comments.
Huh?
We only have trolls. Everyone's asleep. We had to do the show an hour later because of the Super Bowl. I didn't want people to not come to the Super Bowl.
Olympia 19 was it 82?
Oh, thank God for Larry Pollock finally giving us some good stuff. He said Platz and Padilla were the all-time best. Either of them could have won, depending on whether you wanted to go with symmetry or freaky mass and conditioning. I had Platz.
Yeah.
And Larry's got a good eye. I'll agree with him on that, probably.
Platz won that show for sure. They gave him, and you know what they do?
Yeah.
Platz third, right?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Yeah, here's a good question. Yeah, Platz was sixth at this show. Let me ask you a question. Platz obviously was a moneymaker for Weider, right? I mean, he definitely sold covers. I mean, Cole sold magazines. I mean, he was the most popular guy. He was, the blonde hair. He had the huge quads. Why wouldn't Weider want to push this guy? This 81, 82 would have been the perfect time to push Platz to make money because there really wasn't any spectacular. Haney didn't come along till 84. So why wouldn't Weider try to cash in on Platz here? It doesn't make sense to me. Was there a clash between those two guys? Did they not get along?
No, you want to know the answer?
What?
Because he was making money hand over fist, so it didn't matter.
But you would have thought he would have made more money with Tom Platz, the blonde-haired guy, as Mr. Olympia,
No, because the title, he owned the title.
Yeah.
So who he promoted as a title, and he always knew that regardless of who had the title, he can promote. He used to promote Joe Bucci.
No, I know, but that's just in the magazine. I'm just wondering. I wonder if Platz wanted too much money, and Weider didn't like the fact that maybe Tom was too smart, and he would have asked for more, and maybe he figured, you know what, I could, like you just said, I'm going to make money no matter what, so I'll get the guys who will listen to me.
Joe had a little streak of Trump in him. Which means, seriously.
Oscar State is the head judge you're talking
There
about.
you go. That Schweinfeld. Yeah, Oscar State. Thank you. Who came up with that?
Glenn Shermer.
Glenn, give us your feedback on Oscar State judging. You know, you don't have to be a bodybuilder, but you know, he was the head judge.
Oh, we got John Hansen on there. Hey, John, what's up, man?
What's up, guys?
No, Dave, hold on, John.
Yes.
Glad to see you, John, because I want to hear your opinion. But Joe liked loyalty too. He loved loyalty, and guess who he liked? Bill Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Bill Pearl put his thumb on the scale of Chris Dickerson's win. In 1980, whatever it was.
82.
Who should have won in 81, John?
Platts or Padilla?
What about Roy Callender?
Yeah, I had Roy second, actually. I had Padilla third.
Okay. So you had first two, Platts. Yeah, I had Platts first.
Yeah.
I had Callender second, Padilla third. What place you have Franco?
Fifth. I had Dickerson fourth.
Okay. What about 80 the next year? 82.
82, I thought Samir could have won.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
That's exactly before you came on. I said
Samir was fourth, but Casey Vieta thought he should have won. I had him on the show.
Wait,
he was committed suicide after that show.
Yeah, Casey could have been first or second.
I agree. Who was third?
Maybe Dickerson. He was in.
You don't think Zane didn't deserve second at that show?
No, Zane was off. I think Zane was a little too heavy. That was the first time Zane was 200 pounds.
Explain to us how. Two questions. Explain, in your opinion, and your collective wisdom of knowing the ins and outs. One, how did Franco win in 81? And two, how did Dickerson win in 80? 81, Franco.
Yeah.
80, Dickerson.
And here, I'm going to add a proviso onto that. And why wouldn't Weider want to push Tom Platts since he was such a marketable guy? What was your thinking on that?
Okay, so 1, 2, and 3. Go in that order. 81, why? 82 why, and then Platts.
So 81, I think, was it had to do with the judges scoring. It wasn't like it was a conspiracy, and they actually picked the judges. The IFBB picked the judges. Now, up until that time, the promoter of the Mr. Olympia would pick the judges for the show.
So Arnold would pick the judges?
Yeah, but not in 81, because after 80 was such a disaster, and there was so much, they were going to boycott it. Well, Menser and Boyer Co. and Zane did boycott it in 81. So then the IFBB picked the judges. But the thing was, with that point system, they could give multiple 20s, multiple 19s per round. And I think because Franco was such a legend, nobody wanted to mark him down too much. So they gave him a lot of 19s. It just so happened by the time they added up all the scores, he ended up with the highest scores.
Oh, so you think that but do you think that Joe instituted that scoring system purposely to make it,
No, I think that point system was instituted to make it compatible with the Olympics.
Right. But what I'm saying is that it also made it very easy for them to justify, look, we didn't pick Franco. It's the point system. It's the Olympic point system. We got to get the Olympic. Yeah. So it removed. I don't believe
that point system was around for many years. It wasn't just that year.
No, I know, but it screwed up the whole. In other words, the judges didn't know how to pick the right guy. In other words, the wrong guy won because the judges didn't know how to score these guys right. So
exactly, because like with the placement system, they have to put a first, they have to put a second, they have to put a third. With this point system, they can give like 2 20s, 2 19s, 3 18s.
Can't do that.
So there was no.
Dave, where'd you hear that? Dave, I'm not the historian. Where'd you hear that from? That's exactly what I said.
No,
you remember they had to hold the scores up for the audience to see.
Yeah, that was in 1980. They were doing that at the Atlantic City World Pro show. The Boyer Co. one. They were holding them up. Yeah.
That would never go down with Jim Mannion and Steve Weinberg running the show. They would never go for that craziness. So yeah, but my point is, why wouldn't Weider have really pushed for Tom Platz? Do you think?
Well, I think Platz became really famous after that year because he was the people's champion, and up until that point, he was mostly legs. The year before, I think he got 8th at the 80 Olympia. So it was that year from 80 to 81 that he made unbelievable improvement, and his upper body really came up. And I thought he should have won that year. But
so why wouldn't Weider want him to win? Is what my question is, because the guy would have sold magazine covers, right? He would have sold supplements. I mean, it would have been a no-brainer.
What I'm saying is, Platz wasn't a star until after that year. After that year, he became the people's champion.
But he showed up at the show and he looked amazing. Why wouldn't you?
He should have won. Yeah, I mean, if it would have been judged correctly, Franco would have been in 5th, and the top 3 should have been Platz, Padilla, and Callender.
Because Platz would have sold a lot more protein powder for Weider than Franco did. That's for sure.
Well, the point is, when I was making, he did anyway. You know what I mean? So he didn't win.
Oh, I see what you're saying. All right, so he didn't have to win the Olympia, is what you're saying.
With Joe, Joe is heads I win, tails you lose.
Yeah.
So he's got the Mr. Olympia. It's Franco. Okay, I'll promote him. If it doesn't go,
Joe walked out. Joe walked out of the 81 Olympia when they announced Franco first.
Oh, really? Because he
left the
because he was upset, or was he because he didn't want people to try to beat him up?
He was upset.
He was. Oh, so he didn't like you're saying he didn't like the pick?
No. Yeah, I read in Ricky Wayne's article. He was at a bar afterwards in the hotel, and he's like, "These damn judges, why can't they get it right?" And he was really pissed off.
So who did he think should have won?
I don't know. It didn't say, but
John, there is no way on this planet, on Elon's Mars planet, that Joe Weider would have picked Chris Dickerson to win the Olympia. The first thing he would have said is, "What, Dave? Arms are too small."
Yeah.
According to Larry said Arnold was calling the shots at the Olympia, not Weider. I don't know how Arnold would have gotten his paws into that, but
well, I mean, the judges' score sheets were in the magazines. Everybody could see them. It wasn't. Yeah. We knew exactly what every judge picked every round, what their score was. So it was very transparent. So,
interesting. It was an interesting time, that's for sure. So I mean, it's possible. Some feedback on this. I appreciate you coming on, John, and clarifying that for us.
No problem.
And we're going to be working with John at the Arnold Classic in 3 weeks from today. You're going to be working for RxMuscle. We're going to be doing all the wrap ups together as we always do. So hopefully you guys are going to get some great coverage. We're going to get some great interviews, some great feedback, and I think it's going to be one of the best Arnolds we've ever seen. What do you think, John?
Yeah, 3 weeks, huh? It's already 3 weeks. Wow.
Yeah, 3 weeks out. Very quick. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up tonight. Thank you, John, for joining us. Chris,
you're welcome.
Reminiscing with you about all these stories. And guys, if you have any other Olympias that you'd like us to break down, I'm sure we can get John on and talk about some of the old days. For now, we are out of time, as we say every week at Heavy Muscle Radio.
The truth
hurts. Oh, we did it, Chris.
Next week, guys.